There are concerns that staff shortages at the South African Police Service's 10111 call centres have resulted in huge number of calls being dropped. The problems at the call centres were confirmed by Police Minister Bheki Cele recently. We're now joined by Mr. Mpho Kwinika from the Independent Policing Union of South Africa. He's the General Secretary there. Thank you very much, sir, for availing yourself this afternoon. What do we need to understand about how this problem came about? We're still pursuing the South African Police Services to come and talk to us. No response as yet, but what do you know about the situation?
This matter started in 2017 when the employees there wanted better salaries. Then they went on strike. Then the police took them on, they interdicted that process, and they lost the interdict because the Labour Court confirmed that they are not essential service renderers, and as a result they are allowed to go on strike. And then they took it on review, and something which we thought it was a break for them to be able to think about the way forward. At that time there was already a work study that was carried out, and that work study was followed by a benchmark which was done from the 10111 from the call centers within government. And that really vindicated the call that these employees have been making all along, that they are paid lower than their other colleagues in other centers. When the employer or SAPS realized that they are now in this situation and they have to come out of it, they then went for that work study. They went browse through it. I don't think they had enough time to go through it. Then an agreement 1 of 2019 was signed, and it meant that all staff who are employed in terms of the Public Service Act, they have to be transferred over to the Police Act. And then the requirements for constables, for the police to employ constables, it was then laxed to allow this process, the smooth transition from that PSAP Act to the Police Act. When they did the translation, some members were successfully translated, some were not because of the issues of tattoos. Second group was the issue of the outstanding cases that they were having at that time. And then the other group, it was an issue of saying if you're not interested in this environment, you may go to the nearest police stations. This is where the whole hullabaloo started, because then an environment which had a staff complement of about 75 at that time, the numbers depleted to about 45. Now it's at 40%.
Sure. So the police minister wasn't joking when he was talking about people who have tattoos being gangsters, and this has impacted the call centers because those who were already within the employ of the contact centers, as you mentioned, who had tattoos had to be let go. And then there are those who have so-called illicit activities, meaning what?
I think that is where the issue of the previous convictions is coming from. But you see now, they won't easily run away from that. What is the difference between an employee that is employed in terms of the Police Act and the employee that is employed in terms of the Public Service Act? Government doesn't want people who have got previous cases, either employed in any of the two acts. They cannot just wake up after 15 years of employment of these people within their own ranks. Then they decide that these people are not supposed to be here. If they have done their proper vetting, there's a 204, this situation will not be sitting with it. So it is still their baby. They have to deal with that issue.
So your call essentially is what?
What we did now is that we then took that agreement 1 of 2019. We said, let's have a proper interpretation of this document. What does it mean? You know, because there are people that are there. If we were to get those people, look at the issue of tattoo. What does it mean? Only if it depicts a situation like crime in the country or, associating you with certain groupings and all that, then it is bad. But if you have got the name of your child on your hand, that's tattoo. Does that mean that you are really a gangster, part of the gangsterism and all that? No. They need to have a look at that thing there. So I think during the interpretation of this agreement, we'll be able to say, but this should not have been a matter for those members not to be forming part of. If they take this stuff that we are referring to now, I think they will move away from this 40% staffing, and they can be at somewhere 50 and 60%. Then they can go and source other people, because these people have undergone very intensive training to be behind those calls, those instruments.
How has this impacted service delivery? Typically, what is the waiting time? So when you call 10111, how fast must somebody respond to you?
You see, this is the first line of response. South Africans, when they need police assistance, those are the first people that they go to. So those services must be immediately available to them. They shouldn't be waiting for long. I saw you were trying to call them. That period that you were holding there is far too long. It will happen like this, because at any given moment, if you go to the call center now, like Midrand, you will find 4 people sitting there. You'll find them sitting there, 4 at a go. But that environment is receiving close to 5,000 calls per day. And then you go to Cape Town, 4,000. You go to Durban. I'm only talking about these big institutions. And the report as well that you have is not a conclusive report. It is only dealing with only 6 provinces. You still have got 3 provinces which do not give their result, their report. These calls that are missing may be way above 7 million that is being stated here. So what impacts does it have to people, to South Africans, and even to our police officers? They are working extremely under very excruciating and overwhelming environment. They have to deal with calls. You can't drop a call that you have now. You have to deal with that call hysterically as it is. And that is why it's important to have the mental health professions available to them at each and every shift, which is something that is not even happening. Then the police mandate is to protect life. They could have saved lives. Those 7 million, they could have saved lives. The issue of protection of property, they could have protected those properties. 7 million calls means a lot. I don't know how many people could have been saved from being killed. I don't know. But that is very bad. It's not a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, what are some of your members telling you? You are talking about the strenuous conditions under which they work.
Look, they are trying, they are doing their best. It's just that the public does not understand the situation they find themselves in. Some comments were that they are lazy, they are just dropping or leaving these calls unattended and all that. I can tell you something that which is not right, it's bad. The police infrastructure is ailing. If you look at the 10111 center in Midrand, during its, when they opened it, it was one of the top. If you go to it now, you'll see how dilapidated that environment is. And if you deal with the issues of crime outside, we deal with issues like zones. You cluster certain, communities, so that when the calls comes in, you are able to receive them through certain structures. There are structures which that environment does not have anymore. But there are structures, those zones which are not available there, they are available at a decentralized 10111 center in Johannesburg, and the other one in Benoni. Now, calls, people might be holding a call thinking that the call is going through the 10111 center, and the call is not going through. And that is the reality, and these are facts. So the members are fighting to get calls that cannot go through into that environment. And with the other breath, they have to deal with the issues of a volume of calls, and they're not going to receive all of the calls. They're going to fall off on the line. You can't hold forever. What did we do recently? What we did is we went to the province and then we said, look, there are collective grievances. These people are bringing in a resolution to this problem. They are saying, can you decentralize 10111? Where are our people? Are our people in Midrand? Our people are in Meadowlands. Meadowlands is in Soweto. We have got 10111 in Soweto. It's fully functional. Everything is there. You got West Rand, you got Vanderbilt Park, you got Benoni, they are all there. Why are we still posting people at 10111 Midrand? We've got these structures. This problem that they're having, it can be resolved within a wink of an eye. They have to put their heads together.
From your recent engagement with the relevant authorities, have you heard anything?
Look, this is a command and control environment. When you talk to people, they'll tell you, I cannot resolve this issue. This issue needs to be dealt with by national. If you go like the very same matter which we said, decentralize these services. The province says, it is not our baby. This belongs to national. Now we have to wait for national to come into the party and say, look, we can do it or we cannot do it. That's where we are now. And what is so interesting about these members, the eagerness to want to resolve these issues. They even went to an extent of reporting this issue to Public Service Commission, whom were told by Parliament that these issues are going to be resolved with the new intake that we have received now. Not even one was deployed into that environment. And they are thinking of resuscitating that process.
Well, we are still going to pursue the relevant authorities, the police minister as well, and hopefully get some answers. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. Mr. Mpho Kwinika is the General Secretary of IPUSA.